National Football League coaches, the coaches' meetings are going on right now.
I thought it was, it's owners' meetings.
I think they're both going on at the same time.
The general managers are there. The coaches are there.
there.
Everybody's there. This seems like an underrated, cool thing to go to, too, by the way.
To cover it would be awesome.
Like doing a radio show here, getting to talk to all of these coaches. And I want to start with Swag's team because I have a feeling I know what Swag's team's going to do in the draft, even though they've been linked to a couple different players.
Have they signed anybody in free agency yet? Or no, are we talking about the Chargers or the Cowboys?
Chargers.
Okay. I didn't know.
I said his team.
I know. I'm still, old habits die hard.
They're dead to me.
The Cowboys are in the news a lot, and they've been in the news a lot. So when you said Swag's team, my mind went first to the Cowboys.
Well, they haven't signed very many in free agency, the Cowboys, but Mike McCarthy will tell you, we think guys are going to grow this year, so we don't need to.
Dak Prescott can win a Super Bowl.
And the chuckle there from Swag will tell you everything he thinks about that. No, his new team, Jim Harbaugh. I have a feeling I know where your team's going to go, and I think Jim Harbaugh kind of let the cat out of the bag. Maybe he's trying to trail you a different way, but Jim Harbaugh talked about the position he covets the most in his team building and his offensive philosophies.
The offensive line to me is important. And if I asked you the question of, like, what position group depends on no other position group to be good, but every other position group depends on them to be good, what position group is that? Offensive line. They're not relying on any other position group to be good. They go out and they're good. But yet every other position group relies on the offensive line to be good. And then the D-line, they'll be the ones that argue back, we don't need the offensive line to be good. Do you? Do you like it? Do you like when the offense has a 12-play drive and the field position? Okay, you're right. It's like, that building that kind of offensive line, that's exciting. Can't wait to do that.
I can't wait to do that. Now, I don't know. We might all have different opinions, or maybe we all agree. I think that the move for them, I know there's some really good pass catchers in this draft, and I love all of them. I think the move, personally, when you're looking at a team that's salary bent, they paid their quarterback, they're trying to figure their cap stuff out, it makes sense to me for an offense that's clearly going to run the ball a ton and try to protect Herbert. You trade back, you get more assets, and you draft whatever offensive linemen, Fasciano, Fuaga, like whoever it is that they like, maybe like all three, so they're like, there's really no bad spot for us.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to do. It's boring. It's not as exciting as getting a Roma Dunze or a Malik Neighbors or Brock Bowers or whatever. I think that's kind of the move. And the minute they hired him, I went, they're going offensive line.
Yeah, you've been hammering this for a while, and I think you're, based on the quotes that you're hearing, and you hear him talk about offensive linemen, you're spot on. I mean, Jim Harbaugh has understood this, and I would argue rightfully so. Everywhere he's been, it's what we don't, for some reason, we don't like talking about it in football. You win games in the trenches more often than not. Mm-hmm. Now, every once in a while, you get a sexy offense, an elite quarterback who can overcome maybe a bad defensive line or porous offensive line play, but very rarely does that happen. He won at Stanford because of this. He won with the 49ers because of this. And he just won a national championship at Michigan. How? By dominating the line of scrimmage against Washington. That's why they won that game. They were in Penix's backyard the entire night, and they ran it down Washington's throat. And that was not a bad line of scrimmage play team in the Washington Huskies. They just overpowered them there. So he understands this is how you win. They absolutely unequivocally need to trade out of the number 5 pick and acquire more draft picks. Don't move too far down. Find somebody, whether it be the Raiders at 13, whether it be the Broncos at 12,
the Vikings.
Whether it be the Vikings who are at, 11, 10, 11, somewhere in that range.
I think the Vikings are going higher.
And maybe they will. Maybe they'll go with Arizona.
Arizona are getting the hell out of there.
But you're going to have, to your point about offensive linemen, like, sure, if the alt kid out of Notre Dame is your prize prospect, maybe you're passing up on that. But there's 3 or 4 other guys that are going to be available in that 8 to 13 range that you could go get. And what they desperately need is elite, talented, very good players on rookie contracts for the next couple of years to balance it out with Herbert's contract kicking in. The tough part of this for Herbert is, who's his best wide receiver going to be next year? Who's he going to throw the ball to? But I don't even think you have to worry about that for year one. This is almost going to turn into like a gap year for them of like, we just need to reset things. Our cap situation was screwed up. Let's find a couple of good players in the draft, find better cap situation next offseason, and then we'll go from there.
Swag, I want to ask you what you think of this, but quickly to your point of like, who is he going to throw to? And that's a fair thing to ask out loud. Mike Williams wasn't playing. He's not healthy. Keenan Allen had a great year, but also very capable of being banged up all year, unfortunately.
He's a big number, too, and he's getting older.
Here's the thing. We could have said that, too, about the Rams this year with Cooper Kupp coming back. Who are they going to throw? That's what scouting's for. Like, the receiver position is becoming one of those, like, yeah, Neighbors, Harrison, Odunze, the top three.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can find some guys. And also, I think they're going to be such a run-heavy base team where Herbert's not going to be asked to be a 4,000-yard passer. I don't know how important that is in year one of Harbaugh, Greg Roman. Where are you at right now?
I got no problem. If they look to acquire quality offensive linemen that can be there for 6, 7, 8 years, no issues with that whatsoever.
You have full trust in what they're going to do, right?
So, yeah, I think if Harbaugh gets the ability to direct and how they put personnel based on how he wants this team to operate, then yeah. And this year, they should be around 500, maybe get in at the last wild card spot. They had a horrible salary cap roster situation that they had to navigate. You can't do it in a single year without screwing yourself for 3 more years to come. So, I think wide receivers, I think the bigger issue is finding a high-end tight end that's a security blanket for Justin. I think you can go find wide receivers out there. Like you said, with good scouting, you can find guys in the 3rd, 4th round. This is a deep wide receiver draft. So, but I think a quality tight end with great hands and can run routes as a security blanket, and on 3rd downs, they can move the chains. That's probably a little higher priority than, I'd love to see Rome Odunze there. I think it'd be an unbelievable combination, but you got to shore things up in the trenches.
It may not be the number one priority for them, as we heard. He's excited to draft an offensive lineman. So,
I mean, that's the ultimate Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
You got to win up front, and if, having Rome Odunze is great for Justin Herbert. If he doesn't have time to throw him the football, it's not going to work out very well.
It's a sexy thing to think about and say, but ultimately...
but if you get Polk or Franklin, like at the top of the 2nd round...
Yeah. Go find
what's the drop-off between...
Well, the other LSU receiver, too, if you trade back, maybe it's an offensive lineman and that other LSU kid, wide receiver. I don't know. I think Harbaugh is going to build this thing the right way. We'll see if he can win in that division. It's certainly a tough division, but he's excited about offensive line.